Salute, comrades. This is Behind the Walls Talk with your founder, William McCallum, and I thank you for visiting this domain. I'm here to give you an insight into the minds and hearts of those incarcerated that have been deemed voiceless. Well, this is where their voice and stories will be told for those of you who are concerned with human beings that are in prison for the mistakes they have made and for some of the injustices that were committed against them. Resolutions for reform is the goal and objective looking to be obtained. Now step into our world. Welcome to Behind the Walls Talk. This is your host, William McCallum, and I got here with me a guest who is going to highlight the corruption of the police departments around Robinson, Columbus, Cumberland, and all the other counties, all the other surrounding counties. During this time, there was injustices that were committed against this individual. He is not even from North Carolina. He's from California. And he has a story to tell you. So without further ado, tell the listeners, my brother, what's your name and where are you from?
My name is Cleofas Lewis, and I'm currently at Lumberton Correctional Facility.
Where are you originally from, Mr. Cleofas?
I'm originally from Compton, California.
Compton, California. Straight out of Compton.
Yes, sir. Straight out of Compton.
What were you charged with?
I was charged with.
They give you this?
Then I was charged with robbery, conspiracy to commit robbery, attempted robbery, and they gave me 42 years. And we never even did the robbery.
This call is from the North Carolina Correctional Facility.
So you were unjustly convicted of these robbery charges. Could you give me the story, the background story of what exactly took place?
Okay. I came to North Carolina in 1996 for the first time to visit my sister. I met a few people at the time while I was here, and we got drunk, got high, and wound up doing a robbery, attempted robbery. And we got caught. I went to jail. It put me in Robertson County Detention Center. While being in Robertson County Detention Center, I developed 5 more robberies in 5 more different counties that I knew nothing about and knew where they came from. I was told by my first attorney, public defender, that he didn't want anything to do with it. He wanted to excuse himself from the case due to the fact that it was too much going on and he didn't want to be a part of what they were trying to do to me. And what that meant is that he didn't want to be a part of them putting robberies on me that I didn't commit. Okay? So the first one, they took me to Columbus County. I didn't know why I was going there at first. And the attorney came and talked to me. The first thing he asked me if I wanted to take a deal for 20 years. First, you got to tell me what I'm in here for. And what you got on me? Nothing. He said I was in there for robbery and kidnapping. So I told him I wasn't going to do it, man, because I'm going to trial because I know I didn't do it. I don't know nothing about this county, these people. So a week later, we went in for trial. They picked the jury. They had trial, and I was convicted all in 2 hours. They had witnesses I ain't never seen before. They didn't know me, but they had the first witness get on the stand. Young girl, she couldn't have been no more than 22, 23. And mind you, at this time, I was 36 years old when all this was going on. And this young girl got up on that stand and said she didn't say I did it. She said I know him because he went to school with me. Now, mind you, 22, 36. Don't add up. The second witness said that it could have been my twin brother. Yeah. Second witness said it could have been my twin brother. I don't have a twin brother. You know, but the judge, the DA, and my attorney, all of them knew this. They knew this. You know, that's why my attorney didn't stand up to say objection or nothing. He just sat there through the whole trial. Didn't say nothing. I wanted to hit him, but I thought better of it. No, I ain't going to do that. Just holler at him and tell him to get up and say something. He wouldn't do it. So then you had the other witness. She could have been no more than 19, 20. She knew me because I lived in an apartment complex she lived in. Never lived in North Carolina in my life. Never. You know what I mean? Then you had one said I was 6 feet tall. I'm 5'6". They put me in front of the jury, right in front of the jury, up against that box with a man that was 6 feet tall. And she still said I'm 6 feet tall. Like I say, I'm only 5'6". Yeah. Got convicted, maybe 42 years for that one. But the one that they caught me doing in Scotland, they gave me 36 years. So altogether, they gave me 76 years for attempted robbery, kidnap, that I didn't even do. You know? Now I'm sitting here with a date, 2080. That's just like a life sentence. I'm 64 years old. Yeah, I'm 64 years old, man. And they don't want to hear that. So I decided to try to fight my case, right? Come to find out here at Lumberton Correctional, they don't have a lobby.
This call is from a North Carolina correctional facility.
They don't have no way for you to fight your case. You can't even make copies around here. They give you carbon paper. What you going to do with carbon paper when you got court documents that you have to send in and stuff? You know what I mean? You can't carbon that. You know? They give you pencils. They don't give you ink pens. You know, you got to buy your own ink pen if you got money. What if you don't have money? So there's no way to fight your case here. Then they got this place called Prison Legal Service. All they good for is bad news. You're not going to get nowhere with them. They're not going to help you. They'll start off like they're going to help you. They're not going to help you. They'll hold your file for years. They had mine for 2.5 years. Still ain't did nothing with it. Still telling me they're still looking into it. Well, I know they're not going to do nothing for you. So that's really what's going on with me, you know. And then I had robberies in 4 other counties, you know.
Oh, yeah, robberies in 4 other counties too as well?
Yes. I told you, they cleaned their books with me. They gave me robberies in Cumberland, Elizabethtown, Robertson County, and Cumberland, Fayetteville. So what I did, I wrote to each one of them and asked for a speedy trial. 2 of them, no matter of fact, 3 of them just missed the charges because they didn't have nothing. And then you got the one, Elizabethtown. I don't know. I had like 7 different charges there, right? Kidnapping and robbery. They just missed 1 and leave the other ones. But you never bring me to court. You never take me to for the speedy trial. You never even answer me.
This call is from a North Carolina correctional facility.
So I'm still dealing with them, you know. So that's what's going on with me, man. They doing me wrong. That's really what you call a case of false imprisonment.
Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
How long have you now been incarcerated?
How long have I been incarcerated? Since 1996, going on 29 years.
29 years.
Yes, sir. Yes, 29 years. And don't you know, when I wrote to Cumberland County for my sentencing transcript, First time I got a letter saying that they didn't have it no more. So I wrote them again. The second letter, they said they can send me partial of it, pieces of it. So they sent me some more papers. It didn't look like it was nothing about my trial. It was just something about a witness that was 16 years old. That's all it was. When I went to Fayetteville, yeah, they said they had a witness that was 16. I ain't never seen no fighting 16. They said they had this witness 16, and that's all they was talking about was him. What about all the other ones? They ain't say nothing about them. But anyway,
yeah,
I went to Fayetteville, Cumberland County, to take care of the charges that they had there on the speedy trial, right? So when I go in the courtroom, the judge asked me why was I there? Who brought me here? They said Mr. Lewis had charges, right? So the judge gave them an option. Look, if you don't have no witnesses or nothing on him in the next 10 days, I don't want to see that man in my courtroom no more. But when he was reading me them charges and he was reading the witness statement, it was a witness statement, the same ones that was in my trial in Cumberland County. The same statements. Now, how you get statements from them over there in Cumberland County out here in Fayetteville, right?
So hold on. You saying the trial that you went through at Columbus County is the same witness statement that they was using in Cumberland County? The two females.
The same one. The same one. But you know, when I asked you, man, how are you using that? Those statements there was at my trial back in 96. So how you use it? You know what he told me? He said we can use them to build a case on you. That's exactly what my attorney told me. I guess he thought I was, naive or something. I told him, man, if you don't stop that, man, nobody do that. You know? How you gonna do that? And the witnesses not even in here, in this town, they in another town. They don't know nothing about what's going on over here. So I said, man, take me to trial. I don't want to hear nothing else. Don't come talk to me. Just tell the judge I want to go to trial. But that's when I went in and the judge, he didn't even know what was going on. So he gave them an ultimatum. Either bring something up on me.
What's the behind the walls talk? Here with Mr. Cleofas.
Don't bring me back to court.
Lewis.
They didn't bring me back.
Mr.
They sent me back to Central Prison. And
do you have any type
2 weeks later, I got to pay for dismissing all the charges. Yes, I have my kids, and I have my sisters and my brother. Yes, sir. I have a good support system.
It's a personal question. Is there anything you would like to say? Do you have any children?
Okay.
For everything that they do.
Yes, I have 4 kids.
I got 4 kids.
Yeah, I want to say, I want to thank them for everything they done for me. I want to thank them for being down. All my grandkids, being there for me. I want to thank my kids. They were real young when I came in. I have 4 kids grown now, but they still want to 17 grandkids, and 5 great grandkids. I'm being down, but they got my back. All my grandkids. Thank all of them, man. Yeah, all my great grandkids are born while I was in jail. I haven't even seen them. I hope they pray for me too. I seen pictures of them. That's about it.
Yes, so much gratitude. Yeah, that's right. Hey, let me ask you, what's your story on how you grew up? Mr. Lewis, I want you to hang out and call back the trauma behind the walls.
You have 30 seconds remaining.
What it was that may have led to your incarceration?
Wow, it's funny you say that, man. I grew up in, like I said, I grew up in Compton, California.
Yeah. I
grew up in the gang banging era, Whether you wanted to or not, you was always labeled from that neighborhood, Whether you was a Crip or whether you a Blood.
This call is from a North Carolina correctional facility.
Those that's outside your neighborhood, those at the school, that's how they identify you. Well, he's from that neighborhood, you know what I mean? So I grew into it. And I did that most of my life, man. I got into that. And my mother passed away when I was 8 years old. And my father married again when I was 10. And for some reason, we didn't get along. Because I was the only one out of my 5 brothers and sisters said that I didn't want my father to be married again. I felt like she was taking away, our tradition. You know what I'm saying? He coming to my baseball game, my little Pop Warner football games was when they got together. He did stop coming, so I I kind of like had a little animosity toward her, you know, and she didn't, you know, like I don't know what it was really. I know we just didn't get along. So I think I was 13. I said something to her. My father didn't like it. He grabbed me by the throat, put me up against the wall, and told me if I thought I was grown, get out of my house. So I left out his house. And I lived in the streets. I lived in my friends buzzing the cars. I slept in their cars. I slept in the backyard in the clubhouse. I used to go up to the hospital, sleeping into the mobile homes up there, the doctor's mobile home. I mean, it was rough growing up, but I had to grow up real quick, you know?
Yeah.
And when I turned 15, a whole lot changed for me because I got shot up. And I was paralyzed from the waist down for about 2.5 years. And then I went into the foster care, but I didn't stay. Every time they sent me there, I left and went back to the city, went back to Compton. I did better on my own than I was doing with anybody else. I thought, you know?
Yeah.
And participating in gang activity led me to going to jail. I started going to juvenile hall for breaking in houses, stealing cars, stealing food. And, you know, I guess they got tired of it, man. They sent me to juvenile hall. And I had a probation officer. She used to come, pick me up from juvenile hall, drop me off back in the neighborhood. 2 or 3 days later, I was right back in juvenile hall. We're going through stuff like that, you know. And when I got 17, I got stabbed up. And this when I stayed in the hospital for that year and a half, with the punch in my lung, and I was messed up. I stayed in the hospital almost a year and a half for that. And I turned 18, went to prison for the first time. They gave me 2 years, which I was only supposed to do 8 months. Wound up doing 3 years off
This
like
call
8
is
months.
from a North Carolina correctional facility.
You know, got out, met a female, stayed with her for a while, started doing robberies, hijacking, all the other little stuff like that to survive. Tried to get a job, but I don't know, it just didn't work out. I guess I wasn't really thinking about a job or wanting a job back then. I was just trying to do it because of the female and I was staying with to help her. It didn't work. So I went back to the streets. And I've been in and out ever since. Yeah, it was a rough childhood. But I don't have no regrets though, because you know I felt like I did what I had to do. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, especially with your father kicking you out at the age of 13 years old. I can imagine how hard it was on you because, you know, you're a child. You were still a child when you were kicked out. And then had to fend for yourself in the streets. And not just in any streets, but the streets of Compton. The streets in Los Angeles. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. He didn't come looking for me, like come back home. See my brothers and sisters come looking for me. I used to go by there every day. My sister and them used to sneak a plate out the window. You know, when they cook dinner, she'd sneak a plate out the window on the side of the house. I eat, and I'm gone. See my sister and them at school, my brother and them at school. You know, talk to them, see what's going on. Ain't nobody mentioning my name in the house, you know? So, yeah, it was kind of rough on me, you know? But I was dealing with it, you know? I was dealing with it.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I grew up real fast.
Pretty much you had no choice but to deal with it.
You had to. You had to, you know, and I wasn't going.
Do you think it would have been any different? Do you think you could have went to talk to somebody? Do you think you could have went and asked for help from somebody?
It would have been a lot different if I would have did that, you know? But back in them days, in the early 70s, I didn't know no resources, nobody to go talk to. The only people I knew was my big homeboy, you know, and they sisters and they mother, you know, they mother used to tell me, all they used to tell me just be careful. If I need a place to sleep or if I get hungry, I can come there. You know what I mean? And I was, you know, I didn't want to impose on them, you know. So even though they gave me that opportunity, but I was out there. I had to do what I had to do to make it work for me, you know?
So I'd like to ask you this question. So how did you end up coming from Compton, California to Lumberton, North Carolina?
This call is from a North Carolina correctional facility.
Yeah, that's right. I came to visit my sister. I was only supposed to be here for 2 weeks in 1996. Because she's been out here since '84, and I haven't seen her. So, I was having, a little money up there in California. So I said, I'm going to go see my sister in North Carolina. I ain't never been in North Carolina. So I caught the Greyhound bus, came down here to see her, And I met a few guys and a few females on the street that my sister stayed on. Drinking beer out there, we smoking, we talking, listening to music, so we go to the club. Ain't nobody got no money, so one of the guys said, well, let's go do a lick or something and we get us some money. Okay, let's go. I'm high, I'm drunk, okay, I'll get it. We go, man, we get there, we get out the car, we go in the store. And before we can do anything, the police already got the store surrounded. So that's how I got caught in that. That was in Scotland. So I went to court on that, and I admitted doing that. I admitted participating in that, but they gave me 36 years for that. And not only that, they gave me 230-something days, months, more than they were supposed to,
Yeah.
And I'm still fighting that, trying to get that back, even though I'm doing 36 years right now. I stayed there in Scotland for about 2 months. Then they sent me to Robertson County, I guess, because my sister stayed right there in Robertson County with the address.
Hey, Mr. Lewis, let me ask you this question right here. Like, when they sentenced you and you went to central prison, when you finished going through all the trials and everything that you went through with the court system, and then you went back to central prison, like, what was that feeling that you had? Like, how did you feel knowing that you was unjustly convicted of these crimes, that you knew that they did you wrong? How did that make you feel?
Man, that was like, what I'm saying? I couldn't believe it, I never been through nothing like that. And everybody tell me these people down here is prejudiced. I never been through that in California. You don't go through that in California. Because in California where I live, it ain't no white people. Well, no white people live around here. I ain't grew up around white people. I ain't talked to no white people. Only time I seen it when I went to prison, I went to jail. You know what I mean? Other than that. Yeah, so when they did that to me, I was like, I couldn't believe this, especially in trial in Columbus County, especially there. My lawyer sitting there not saying a word. The DA looking at me. The judge, they all know that I'm from California. They know I ain't been here that long. They know I ain't got no record of me living in North Carolina.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Years old. They knew I was 36 years old. They knew them girls were no more than 20, 19, 20, 22 years old. Well, man, I felt like, wow, no, they're not going to do me like this, right? And that's when I escaped from Central Prison and went back to California. And about 4 months later, after my trial.
Excuse me, Mr. Lewis. Call back so we can finish this. Behind the Walls Talk will continue.
Okay.
Welcome back to Behind the Walls Talk with Mr. Cleofas Lewis. Hey, Mr. Lewis, you was sitting here, you was explaining how you escaped. Could you give me the story behind all that?
Okay, I get it. Okay. It couldn't have been I don't know, I still think it was the Lord's work, because I wasn't trying to escape. I wasn't trying to go nowhere, you know what I mean? But I wanted to see my kids. I used to pray that he let me go see my kids. Let me see my kids one more time. And in Robertson County, I was in Central Prison. Robertson County called me to court that day, November 16, 1996. I went down to Robertson County to go to court, but when I got to court, they told me I wasn't supposed to be there that day. I was supposed to be there next week. So it was like a dry run. I got in that happened. So they put me in the holding cell with everybody else, right? Yeah. So I asked the judge, can I use the restroom? You have to come out to the cage and go down the hall to the restroom. So I went to the restroom. I was sitting there. I'm sitting there using the restroom. I'm not thinking about nothing. I'm just looking at that window. All I could see was feet walking past. And I'm, trying to see which one is a female, which one's a male. You know what I mean? I was just sitting there doing that. So when I finished my business to get up to go back out, and I got halfway, I stopped and I noticed it was real quiet in there. I mean, it was quiet.
This call is from a North Carolina correctional facility.
It was pretty noisy. So when I got to the cell, to the holding tank, there was one guy sitting there in a wheelchair. So I asked him, where was the jailer at? He said, in your break room.
This call is from a North Carolina correctional facility.
So I walk over to the break room, and he laying there asleep. He got his head down on the table asleep. And the door to the outside is like maybe not even 10 feet. You know what I mean? So I'm sitting there thinking, man, I'm just thinking, I can go, I can stay. I'm going. So I went to the door. I turned it knob, it turned. The other door was right there. I looked down by the elevator, and it was quiet, nobody down there. So I opened that door, I stepped out. I was leaning against the door, and I was outside. So I looked up, wasn't nobody looking at me, wasn't nobody paying me no attention. It's downtown, people just walking all around. So I walked up the little ramp. I stood there for a minute. Then I walked across the street to the pawn shop, and I asked him, can I use his phone to call to the barber shop down the street, right? You hang out there when I was there, you know what I'm saying, you go get my hair cut. So he told me, yeah. So I called the barber shop, and I asked the brother T-Bone, could he come pick me up? He said, where you at? I told him I was at the pawn shop. He said, man, you're only a block away from me. You can walk here. Well, I thought it was farther than that, you know? So he said, just come down the street. So I said, all right, I'll be there in a minute. So I got there. When I got there, I called this young lady that lived on my sister's street at Newton. She came and picked me up, took me to South Carolina to the bus station. Helped me buy the bus ticket to Ruston, Louisiana, to my father-in-law's place in Ruston, Louisiana. I stayed with him for a week. And I left there, went to Dallas, Texas for 2 weeks to stay with my auntie. Then I went back to the city. But when I got back to the city, my mother and father, they told me, don't come, you can't come around here because the police looking for me. I said, looking for me for what? You know you done escaped from them people. So I said, I ain't worried about it. So I called my brother wired me some money at the bus station. Sent me some money. So I went from Compton to another little city called Lancaster, about 3 hours away. I went out there. My ex-wife was staying out there, so I went to stay with them for Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's. The day after New Year's, when I left, about an hour later, the police went there looking for me. They never caught me. So 2 years later, 1998, I was working on a job at this time, but I had a different name, under a different name, and a number and everything, so driver license. So the FBI, I guess they do their little random checks at the DMV, and they seen that I had 2 driver licenses with 2 different names. Same picture, 2 different names. So she said she was so curious why I had 2 different names. So that's how they found out that I escaped from North Carolina, fugitive. So they came to the place where I was working. You know, I was loading and unloading trucks. And the Mexican guy said, man, there's a lady out there looking for you. Well, I guess she wants you to load her truck up. So I go out to the door. You know, when you walk out the door, you got 3 steps to walk down. She was up on the top, leaning against the rail, with a cowboy hat on, little jeans, cowboy boots. You know, I'm thinking she's a truck driver. Now I'm looking at the fat guy that's standing behind the door, eating a sandwich, and the white guy down at the bottom of the stairs, eating. So she said, Dwayne Duke. I said, yeah. And then it hit me. Don't nobody know my last name. None of these truck drivers. So I said, if she say that one more time, I'm going to run back inside, right? So she said it. And she said it. I grabbed that doorknob and went to spin around to go back in. The fat guy behind the door jumped on my back. He jumped on my back. Then the white guy ran up the stairs and grabbed my legs, and they took me down, put me in the car, sent me back to that police station, LA County Jail, because I found out I had a warrant that I never knew nothing about. I had a warrant from 85 for a robbery. I didn't even know. which I'm sure I didn't do because I had been to prison. I had been to prison twice. You know what I'm saying? I went in 79, and I went in 83. Then I went back in 85, but they never said nothing about it. I got out in 92, and they never said nothing about it. So they told me I had a warrant for robbery. So at this time, they're doing the 3 strikes. They got the 3 strikes off. So they gave me 25 years to life. I did 23 and a half years, right? But at my sentencing hearing, they had been talking to the authorities in North Carolina. They ran North Carolina time concurrent with my 25 years of life sentence. I got all the transcript, all the documents, all the paperwork saying the judge, old Stephen O'Neill, ran that time concurrent. District attorney states it in open court. This time will be ran with the time in North Carolina. He's going to serve it here. The Attorney General's office in Raleigh, North Carolina, Mr. Dale Tolbert, made this agreement with my attorney that they did not want me back in North Carolina.
This call is from a North Carolina correctional facility.
They was content with me serving it all in California. Okay, so I take the deal. I'll take the deal. I'll take the agreement. I take it. 22 and a half years.
This call is from a North Carolina correctional facility.
In 2021, I was on the street. February 2nd, I was on the street in the halfway house, working, going to see my parole officer every week. A month and a half later, the North Carolina Department of Corrections put a warrant out for my arrest to come back to complete the sentences that I was already serving, which it was supposed to be ran concurrent, which it states it all in the transcript that it was ran concurrent. So they brought me back, took me to Central Prison. This is April 21st, 2021. Take me to Central Prison. That was it. No court. Nobody talk about the estate. Nobody talk about why I'm there. Nobody say nothing to me about nothing. They just dropped me off. I've been here ever since. That was April 21st, 2021. You know when you get picked up on a warrant, they supposed to take you to court, right?
Yeah. Hey, excuse me, Mr. Wood. I want to get an understanding of this. Okay. The time that you were doing over here in North Carolina before you escaped, and the time that you got over there in California after your escape, they ran it concurrent. They ran all concurrent, and you did your time in California, and you got out to the halfway house, and North Carolina brought you back to do the time that you already done, which was ran concurrent with the time that you did in California.
Yes.
That's
my parole officer. Yeah, my parole officer was even shocked because the police station contacted him and said that North Carolina got a warrant out for my arrest. He was like, what? He said he ain't had no warrants or nothing. Because, you know, when you get off on parole, your parole officer check you. He said, okay, you ain't got no warrants, no warrants, nothing. You good. Now I need to get a job, right? Yeah, you know, like when I wrote to the mayor in California, I told him, look, you know, just like I know, ain't no courtroom, no prison in the United States is going to release you knowing that you got a hold or a warrant or a detainer. They're not going to release you. They'll release you if you ain't got none of that on you, which I didn't have none. You know, I was found suitable for parole June 10th, 2020. 60 days after that, I should have been gone home because I was found suitable. And I didn't have a capital murder or nothing like that, so the governor didn't have to review my file. I could just go within 60 days. They kept me 7 months at that prison. When they released me to the county jail in that city for another 90 days, waiting to see if North Carolina wanted me, right? That's almost like 9 months. No, they didn't respond, not one time. So that judge in that county jail said, look, I can't hold you no longer than that. They don't want you. You're a free man. They let me go. I was on the street in the halfway house. Thought my life was getting my life back together. I'm finna see my grandkids. I'm finna see my kids. Everything is gonna be good. Working, seeing my parole officer, going to groups out there in the streets. North Carolina put what kind of Department of Corrections put a warrant out for my arrest. So I've been fighting that ever since. I've been writing to everybody. You know, California failure to communicate with North Carolina, or somebody failed to send North Carolina paperwork saying that my time had been completed or I was serving their time concurrent with California time. Something happened somewhere back in 2001 at my sentencing hearing. You know what I mean? Because the district attorney, the DA, the attorney general in North Carolina was on the phone while I was getting sentenced. They was talking to my lawyer and the district attorney about the agreement. They came to that agreement, and my lawyer said, okay, this is what they want to do. If you accept the 25 years
hold on,
life.
Mr. Lewis, you got their names? You got that DA name that was on that phone, the attorney general? You got their names?
I got all that. I can send you my transcript. And if you read it for yourself.
Come back to the microphone, Mr. Lewis. Come back to the microphone.
I can send you my transcript. It's all in there. Everything I just said is there. They state in open court. Judge stated it at the time will be ran concurrent. The DA stated it. Mr. Lewis, your time will be ran with North Carolina time. Be ran concurrent, and you'll be doing your time here in California. It's all in my transcript. I got it right here. I've been writing letters to the mayor of California. I've been writing letters to the councilwoman, anybody I can think of to get somebody to hear this. Everybody in North Carolina can say they don't know nothing about it. You know what I mean? Because California failed to send the paperwork. Now, the gentleman that was at the Attorney General's office, Dale Tolbert, he passed away in 2012. Okay? So when I got back here in 2021, I wrote a letter to the Attorney General's office, and they told me that I had to get an attorney through the courts to get the information that I was seeking. You know, so I've been writing everybody I can here in North Carolina.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Sending copies of my transcript.
But if you have it documented, then why is it that they're not acknowledging the documents that you have?
I don't know why they're not acknowledging it. They won't speak on it.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
They won't even say the word concurrent. They won't speak on it. They just go around it. Keep going around it. I'm sending letters right now. I'm writing letters right now to the mayor of California.
And Mr. Lewis, call back, Mr. Lewis. Call back, Mr. Lewis. Behind the Walls Talk will continue. Welcome back to Behind the Walls Talk with Cleofas Lewis. Hey, Mr. Lewis, we were speaking about how they justly just they really got you here. They got you held captive right now. That's basically what they have you. They have you held captive right now because you done did your time. Your time was served in the California Department of Corrections, and now they got you in the North Carolina Department of Adult Corrections being held captive.
Yes, that's why California let me go because it was done. I completed my sentence, and North Carolina time was in that. You know, and they didn't come pick me up while I was.
He has passed away, right?
Yeah, in 2012. This is what they tell me. But his name is all in my transcript. It states my attorney states that I talked to Dale Tolbert, who's at the Attorney General's office in Raleigh, North Carolina. He called this phone here in this courtroom this morning, and we spoke and came to an agreement. It's in my transcript.
So where's your attorney at? Where's your attorney at that was in California?
He's still out there practicing law. He won't even fight me back. He won't even talk to my people. His name is Richard Lohr. L-O-A. Richard Lohr. L-O-A.
Lohr. L-O-A.
Yeah.
Okay.
L-O-A. Yeah.
Because they have to justice have to be served.
This call is from a North Carolina correctional facility.
Justice have to be served in your case. There's one thing what they did in Columbus County.
This call is from a North Carolina correctional facility.
It's one thing for what they did then, but for you to go to California, you escaped. You went to California. Okay. And then you got the time over there in California, and they made an agreement. The red door time concurred, and you did your time for both states. and they let you out.
I did.
You was a free, and you still supposed to be a free man. There's no way that you supposed to be still incarcerated for something that you already done did your time for.
Right.
And for every day that you've done your time, they need to pay you for every day that you've done in North Carolina for your, you know what I'm saying? They just can't do that.
Yeah. You know, and me,
I definitely want to look at your case. I definitely want to check this out, man. We're gonna speak furthermore about this, man, and we're gonna see if we're gonna get you some help, get you some assistance, because I definitely want to look into this case right here, because I don't like that. That really bothers me that you're still for a time that you've already done did.
Yes, I've done the time. You know, that's why I've been writing, trying to get somebody. I've been writing Wake Forest,
nobody's listening,
law school, all the nobody, ain't nobody answered me. All these innocent projects I've been writing them. I ain't heard from nobody. It's like nobody want to do nothing. Like nobody really don't respond to letters no more. You know what I mean? Now, if I had an email or I can call and talk to them, it'd probably be different. But me writing letters, you know what I'm saying? The letters don't really do too much nowadays, you know, out there in that world. Everybody doing emails and faxing and all that, you know. But, man, I ain't giving up, though. So like I say, I can send you the transcript and let you see them. You know, I got a bunch of them. Even my case manager, he don't believe it. He said, man, I don't believe this. You know, but you know how that go.
Okay. Hey, look, we're gonna go ahead. I got some more questions I want to ask you. We're gonna get back to that because I'm gonna get your information. Well, I already got your information and everything, but we're gonna get those transcripts, and I want to see them for myself, and I want to look over everything, and I want to see if we can get you some help on that on that end. So, okay, so I got some questions for you. With everything that you've been through as a child, everything that you went through as a youth, being kicked out of your home at the age of 13, and living the gang lifestyle, and you know what I'm saying, indulging in the drugs and everything as well. Let me ask you this: what is it that you would like to say to the youth out there now that are being misled and find a life of crime and being in the gang intriguing? What can you say to them now that will prevent them from doing so and to find a better life?
I was telling the youngsters out there, man, looks at you see, because they out there, you see people having money, having nice little cars and not working. That ain't the way to go. Gang banging really is not where to go, because you ain't going to get nothing out of that but jail or a plaque at the cemetery. But I advise you young brothers out there, man, to go to school, get some knowledge. Knowledge is power, my brother. Knowledge can get you a whole lot of places. That gang banging and hanging out and selling drugs won't get you. You ain't going to get nowhere like that. You know, I did it. I've been there. I did it for 43 years, gang banging, selling drugs and all that. I did everything that you could think of. Look where I'm at. Look where I'm sitting, in prison. That's where you're going to be at if you continue. So I'm asking you young brothers, man, education. Go to school, man. Learn something. Be somebody. You know what I'm saying? Be somebody. Don't just hang out in the streets, because it's not what it is, my brother. Trust me when I tell you. All right?
That's good. Hey, I would like for you to tell the listeners, what does Second Chance of Society mean to you, my brother?
What does Second Chance mean to me? It means the world to me. You know? It'll mean everything. You know, just to have a chance to see my grandkids, to play with my grandkids, to hold my great-grandkids, to teach them the right way instead of teaching them the wrong way as they've grown up. See my kids now that they're grown, be able to hug them, say I love you, be able to talk to them. You know, even though my mother and father passed away while I was in prison in California. Be able to see my sisters, my nieces and nephews, just my family. Just to spend time with the grandkids, you know? Take them to the park, ride bikes with them, just do all the things that grandparents do. It'll mean the world to me if I could be out there again.
That's right, man.
Yes,
family is everything, man. Family comes first, man.
Family is, yes, it do. It really do. know.
Is there any last words you would like to share with the listeners of Behind the Walls Talk?
Well, God is good. I can tell you that. God is good. Believe in Him. Believe in Him. And I'll be praying for you. Okay?
That's right.
This call is from a North Carolina correctional facility.
You know, I feel that little anger coming on, you know?
This call is from a North Carolina correctional facility.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate this interview, Mr. Lewis, man. I really do, man. I really appreciate this interview. It was a great interview. And your story, you have an amazing story. You have an amazing story, man. You have a story of triumphant. You have a story of overcoming a lot of tragedy, a lot of misery, a lot of pain. You definitely have a good story that all the children, all the youth out there need to listen to. They need to take heed of your words, everything that you say, everything that you've been through, and they need to just listen to what you're saying of what you went through, so therefore they don't go through it themselves. And the injustices that was committed against you, that's something that needs to be looked into. All you local leaders out there, all you legislatures, the governor, everybody out there that's listening to this Behind the Walls Talk interview with Clefas Lewis, I want you to hear me now. This brother out here does not deserve to be in prison right now, and you know it. You listening to this brother's testimony. I want you to look into this brother's case, and I want you to see what the wrongfulness was done for this brother. And make sure this brother is compensated for every day that he's done in North Carolina since being extradited back from California. And make sure that this brother get back out to his family, because he deserves to be out there with his family, with his kids, his grandkids, and his great-grandkids.
Yes, sir.
So I appreciate this interview, man. Like I said, man, me and my wife, we're going to do our best to help you. We're going to put this word out there. We're going to put this interview out there. Make sure that your voice is heard, because it deserves to be heard.
Yes.
I love you, man.
Yeah, I sure appreciate it.
Keep fighting.
I love you too, my brother.
Stay strong, man.
I have to. You know, I have to stay strong for the brothers in here that's not doing that well, you know. I have to stay strong. You know, I try to show these brothers, you know, you can fight, man. You can fight for yourself. A lot of brothers in here don't want to do that. They ain't doing nothing. They ain't trying to fight because there's no libraries, no nothing for them to fight. So they at least try. You know what I'm saying? Write letters, at least try. So, you know, I'm doing my part too, even though I've been done wrong too, you know. So, yeah, I'm staying strong, my brother. I'm staying strong. And I appreciate everything you're doing for you. You and your wife is a blessing. Believe that you are a blessing. Yes, sir.
Thank you, my brother.
We do
what we can.
Yes. Yeah, I appreciate it so much. I really do.
All right. That's Behind the Walls Talk. Peace.